and responsibilities and how come DevOps is such an important function now. Also, we'll talk about if you do not have a DevOps mindset, what kind of problems do you face today, and what kind of solutions that DevOps provides. I mean, if you have enabled the DevOps function within the organization, so what kind of solution DevOps provides. Also, we'll talk about DevOps is again it's a mindset. So we'll talk about how do we transition into DevOps mindset. A lot of people think that DevOps means I learn new tools, technologies, and I become DevOps. That's not true. DevOps is, as I said, more of a mindset change, and that is what we will talk about. And then finally, DevOps skills. I have a couple of slides next, where I have listed the tools and technologies that we are going to talk about, and these are the skills typically that you need in order to be a successful DevOps engineer. Okay, feel free to stop me anytime, Harita, if you have any questions. Okay.
Yeah, sure.
Okay, so we will start with actually AWS. AWS is Amazon Web Service. I'm not sure how much you are familiar with, but AWS provides the infrastructure in the cloud, and that way you don't need to worry about. So typically, if you are, say, a product company, say you own Facebook, your focus will be like, how do I give better customer experience on the features or the product side, and not primarily on the infrastructure side. I mean, what kind of infrastructure that Facebook owns and all that, right? You don't want to own that unless it is must, unless there are some compliance issues and all. But in general, you would want that, someone can manage the infrastructure for me. I can that way focus on the core values or the core function of the organization. And that's what AWS provides. I mean, you just pay for the service and you have the infrastructure ready. And a lot of companies, including Netflix in the US, they have moved to AWS now. So we'll talk about that. Also, you will have your own Linux host in AWS, and this is going to be your personal Linux host. It's going to be a free account for you for a year, and this Unix server or Linux server that we are going to provision in AWS, we will be in fact doing all the installation, configuration, and all the tools that you are going to learn. We'll be doing that on this particular host. Also, we'll talk about what is Elastic IP in AWS, how you can have a permanent IP assigned to a host. So that's Elastic IP. Also, we'll spend some time on Linux system administration. I have generally noticed that people, they do not have good experience or knowledge on Linux. So, and since Linux is the OS that we are going to learn, I'll spend some time to talk about, what is Linux, how does it work, and all that. Then we'll talk about installation and configuration of DNS and Apache. DNS is the domain name system, which helps you translate domain name into the IP address. And this is required because for us, we type the domain name into the web browser like google.com, facebook.com, but for computers to communicate, they know each other by the IP address. So over the network, every computer has a unique IP address. So, and then they communicate over the IP address by knowing, or they know each other by the IP address. Now, for computers, they need the IP address, but for us, we need the domain name, right? We cannot remember IP addresses, so we need domain names. So there has to be someone in between, something like DNS, which can take the input from us as a domain and then can give us the IP address associated with that domain, and that is what DNS helps for, right? Next one is about Apache. So Apache is a web server. We will be talking about it, how you can have your own website, and we will see how it works in real-time scenario when you type, say, harita.com in your web browser, and how you get the page from your server, right? So we'll set it up and we'll see how actually it works in real-time situation. Okay. Any questions? As I said, feel free to stop me. All right. Moving on to the next one. So automation. You said you have some background on build and release function. So we will talk about Git, GitHub, and Jenkins. These are the tools known for the build and release function. Also, we'll talk about shell scripting, which again helps you automate a lot of tasks or the manual tasks that you do. For example, if you want to take a system backup at, say, 5 a.m. every day, right? You can write a script and then you can automate it, in a way that it takes the backup for you every day. Then we'll talk about infrastructure configuration. These tools are very popular or known. Puppet, Chef, and Ansible. These are, again, all these three tools provide you similar capabilities, But we'll learn about all these three tools. I'll be talking about all these, three tools which are very popular. In fact, a lot of people are using it. Also, you will see that all the packages that we install or the tools that we install, we will be doing through Yum or RPM. RPM is the Red Hat Package Manager, available on Red Hat Linux. Yum is again available on Linux. Using these two tools, we'll be installing a lot of packages or tools on our Linux system. Also, one more thing which I forgot to mention here, we'll be also be doing some source-based installation. So as you know, Linux is an open source, and you have a lot of tools available which is open source. You can then install it and use it the way you want it. You can even make some changes and all. Moving on to the next one, DevOps. Okay, so on the DevOps, another important role or the function that you provide is you want to definitely monitor your application, and if there is any issue, you want to get alerted as well, because if you just wait for a problem to happen, then it's more like a reactive approach. Or if you wait for someone to report a problem, that's again a reactive approach. So we'll talk about how we can be proactive, how we can quickly come to know about if there is a problem, and all that. Then the next one is performance tuning and troubleshooting skills. These are again a must-to-have skills for any DevOps engineer. Troubleshooting skills in case you have any problem, right? If you are the first person generally that you check what the problem is, and then resolve the problem as well. So troubleshooting skills is like how do you find out, first of all, how do you detect the problem, and then you provide the solution to on that as well. And then about performance tuning. So how do you fine-tune your infrastructure or configuration or even the setup of your tools so that you get maximum performance out of it. Again, this is for the benefit of the customers. The second one that I talked about, the troubleshooting, is more for a availability or uptime perspective. Performance tuning is more of a how do you give better performance for your application to your customers. The last one is about cron job, which is a scheduler tool which helps you schedule any task that you want to do. Like I talked about backup, everyday backup at 5 a.m. So you can write a shell script and then put it into a cron job, which is a scheduler available on all the Linux system. So we'll see that how cron job also works and how it helps us. Any questions so far?
No, I'm good.
Okay. Then the next one is about duration. So I think you already asked, what is the duration, and so it's about 1 hour every day between Monday to Friday, and we will have the session for about 4 to 5 weeks. That's the maximum duration that it takes. And by the way, it's not that after 5 weeks we don't know each other. In case you have any questions and you need some guidance, you can of course contact me, and I'll be more than happy to help you. Also, you will have training videos available just after this session every day. So I'll be uploading into my Google Drive, and you will get the video available, and you can play whenever you feel like. That's about it from my side. One more thing which I again have not mentioned is that in the training program you will notice that I share, I pass the control to you, so you become the presenter and you do it yourself. So there is going to be a lot of hands-on, and that way you learn faster actually. So anything that we learn is going to be hands-on. I mean, we'll practice it and we'll see how it works in real-time situation and all that. That's about it. Any questions?